What's up, y'all? Polo Sports Talk and Entertainment. Back again with another one. Hit the like button and sub to the channel if you're not a member, and also hit the notifications to get all of my content as well as all of my videos. Uh, before I get this video started, man, let me give a shout out to uh, a couple of the brothers within the LDBC, the boxing community. In this case, I want to give a shout out to Blue Blood Sports. He's talked about this situation. If you haven't sub to Blue Blood Boxing, definitely go sub to his channel. One of the pillars and the and one of the lieutenants in the LDBC boxing community. Also, got to give a shout out to 7A Sports, of course, the general of the LDBC boxing community. I also want to give a shout out to uh, the whole panel on trail boxing, including the brother Black, CC, and of course the general of 78 Sports. Salute to them. Definitely go sub to their channels, and they also have pages of their own, and they have other platforms that they own too. So just go check them out. Now, let me go ahead and get this started. What's up with it, Dion? I see you in the building. The disrespect for Errol Spence just continues to mount and mount and mount. Okay. Uh, First and foremost, man, let me say this before I begin. All right. As a boxer, Roy Jones was, at one point he was at the top of my list. Okay. Now, I don't. Over the years, I've gotten away from how Roy Jones, from a political aspect and in terms of outside of the ring and how he thinks and how he moves. I disagree with a lot of the stuff, but as a boxer, uh, he was phenomenal. Okay, you're talking about a guy, the only guy to climb up from one division to go all the way up to heavyweight and win a win a heavyweight title in both of those divisions. Okay, that can never be taken away from him. He was able to do that in both divisions because he got criticized for him going to the heavyweight division. People got to understand that. However, having said all of that, he recently came out and he stated, and this is just one of the legends. All right, James Toney has something to say, uh, and also Sean Porter. He had his stuff to say, but he kind of disagreed in that regard. And then of course in the past there has been Sugar Ray Leonard that has disrespected Earl Spence to a degree, especially before the Danny Green. I'm sorry about that. The Danny Garcia fight. The thing about it is that Roy Jones has came out and basically stated that he feels that the fight is going to end within six. It's not going to go past six. And him and James Toney, they had agreed that they feel that the reason why that is because they felt that Earl Spence is one dimensional. And I'm here to tell you that neither one of these two have ever stepped inside of the ring with Earl Spence to really know that. So you being from the outside looking in, and we know that boxing is your craft. We know that you're Hall of Famers. We know what you bring to the table. We know what you were capable of and everything. But at the same token, I think people are forgetting what kind of beast Earl Spence is. And they also said this. They also stated that they don't know how he's going to hold up in terms of his. What's up with it, Matt? in terms of his accident. Okay. Well, newsflash. Let's just go ahead and let's take that back. Okay. Let's rewind. First and foremost, he turned around, backdoored, got out of an accident. Which, if you've seen the video and you saw what type of accident that he was in, a lot of people felt like he was lucky to even be alive. Okay, let's just put that out there. So he turned around, backdoored, was back in the gym, ready to fight Danny Green, in which he was about 60 to 70% of himself, and still was able to come out there and still was able to uh, just dominate Danny Garcia. Okay, who was he's an all right fighter, but to me he was a glorified counterpuncher. That's what Danny Garcia is to me. He wasn't nowhere near Errol Spence level. Okay, that's just my humble opinion on it. Then, okay, I think where the criticism is coming from a lot of people is the fact that when he was about to fight Pacquiao, okay, a lot of people were anxious to see that fight. Well, of course, that didn't happen, and the reason that did not take place is because he had the retina, uh, the torn retina, not a detached retina, but just he had a retina issue that needed to be taken care of, which is fair. You're not going to go into a fight and risk anything. But he was all amped up for that fight. And many people were like, oh, yeah, well, he was ducking Pacquiao, such as Bernard Hopkins, old capping ass. He want to sit up there and he want to say, okay, yeah, well, I have a feeling that, something isn't right and all this other stuff. Trying to push that narrative about Errol Spence, which made absolutely no sense at all. Okay? So we get past that, all right? And Earl Spence, even throughout all of that, he was still in the gym, still working on his craft, okay? Still in there, still maintaining shape and everything. It's just that he can't do anything and he can't get in there and risk his career. Some people were even speculating that he might have to retire and everything. But people forget that Earl Spence he's a different breed. He's a different animal. And he said, no, he ain't retiring. He shut down all those rumors again. Okay. Then he came back and he fought the same guy that Manny Pacquiao fought. And the guy that dominated Manny Pacquiao, you know what I'm saying, pretty much sent Pacquiao into retirement. He ended up beating his ass, pretty much damaging his eye, his orbital bone, and then also I think he fucked up his rib too as well. Okay, but then you have the audacity to sit up there and you say something like, "Oh yeah, well Earl Spence, I don't think he's ready, and I don't think he has the skills necessary," or they're saying that he's one dimensional and all this other nonsense, which really that goes to show you that you really haven't paid attention to Earl Spence, because Earl Spence is anything but one dimensional. As a matter of fact, Earl Spence is versatile than a motherfucker. And that's what you have to understand about Earl Spence. He could fight you on the outside, he could keep you at bay, he could come inside, and his power. He does have power that's very slept on, and he knows how to He knows how to use his power. And I think that that's what they're trying to compare. What's up with it, True Viking Queen? I see you in the building. That's what they're trying to compare is the whole power thing. You have to remember, James Tony was, he was big on the knockouts, and he was all about, power and the shoulder roll and things of that nature. You know, and Roy Jones, uh, he had power and everything, but he was just extremely athletic too. You know what I'm saying? He'll lay your ass out too. Don't get it twisted. But I think that they're basing everything on, and they're basing their picks. In my opinion, they're basing it off of bias because of what they've seen from Terrence Crawford. But what you have to understand about Earl Spence is this guy right here, man, is a whew, his intelligence in the ring, his ring IQ is off the charts and it's very slept on. I mean, the man isn't he ain't undefeated for no reason, you know. And more importantly, he hears the noise. He hears the noise that a lot of these guys are saying and all of these legends are saying. And then of course, Sugar Ray Leonard a while back, he had picked he had picked Danny Garcia to win the fight against Earl Spence. And I'm thinking that he picked that fight because Danny Garcia was in full self and everything, and Earl Spence wasn't. And then also we got to take in consideration what was going on with the country during that time and everything too. But there's still no excuse. You still stepped in the ring, because I think Danny Garcia had came out and said, "Well, I didn't have that much time to prepare and all this other stuff." I don't want to hear any of that because Earl Spence was coming out of an accident. He didn't make no excuses, and he stepped in the ring and he was ready to do his thing. So that's not an excuse. And plus, Shakur Stevenson, he was fighting during the pandemic. There was a lot of people that was fighting during the pandemic with no crowd and all that other stuff. So I don't want to hear any of that. Okay. Then also, what we also have to take into consideration too is the fact that Earl Spence knows when to use his power. He knows when to be finesse, and that right there, that's not one dimensional. That's actually he has tricks. He knows how to be defensive and he knows how to adjust too. Like with the Ugas fight, guess what? A lot of people felt like if it had been another fighter or if Ugas would have stayed on him when he rocked EJ, they felt like he would have been out. Or if it was these people making these stupid analogies saying that, yeah, if that was Terrence Crawford, he would have got laid out. And I think that that's what people are basing their fight uh, prediction on. And that's a stupid way of looking at things. I've already talked about that before. you know, we got to understand something about this guy, man. This guy has been in the gym training in 120-degree uh, heat inside of a gym, getting ready for Terrence Crawford. And listen, I want people to understand this too. I'm not getting on here saying, okay, yeah, he's just gonna. The fight is gonna be close, and there's not gonna be no knockout. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm predicting that there is not going to be a knockout. It's going to be close. Okay, I don't see Earl knocking out Terrence Crawford, and I definitely don't see Terrence Crawford knocking out Earl. These guys are winners. These guys are competitive, but more importantly, these guys are very intelligent. And I think that Terrence Crawford, his ring IQ is very slept on. And another thing that you got to watch out about Terrence Crawford is the fact that he's able to make adjustments too. But see, there's another thing that a lot of people aren't looking at either, and it brings me up to this point. Listen, Errol Spence is a southpaw, okay, and what you also have to understand about this, and we have to know about Terrence Crawford is the fact that he's able to switch up and do uh, orthodox or go ahead and do the southpaw. Well, he's not going to be able to pull any of those tricks against Errol Spence. That's not going to take place. I'm sorry to say, and some of you might disagree. And if he tries to pull it off, it's going to be extremely difficult because the stuff that you were used to, pulling against, guys like Sean Porter and Kell Brooks and some of these other guys, you're not going to be able to pull off against a guy, a caliber fighter like Errol Spence. And see, Sean Porter, he basically has came out and basically have stated that he's he said the fight is going to be close, but he's given a slight edge to Terrence Crawford. Now that I can respect. I can respect that. Okay, I can respect that. He said that he's given Terrence Crawford, I think it was like 49.8 and percent, 48, 40, 49.8% chance, and he's giving Earl Spence a 49.2% chance. He had said that when they asked him, you know, how the fight was going to go. And now, initially, I think he was saying that he was not going to choose either way. But I can respect that. You know what I'm saying? Boosie has came out, little Boosie has came out, or Boosie Badass has came out and basically stated that Terrence Crawford is going to win, going to knock him out, stuff like that. Listen, Earl is hearing all of this. It's coming from legends. Uh, I think Mike Tyson said that Terrence Crawford is going to win and all this other stuff. And listen, sad to say, a lot of these guys they they're not in terms of accomplishments wise, they're not in the stratosphere of neither one of these fighters. Because you got to think about it. Earl Spence is on the verge of possibly becoming undisputed and unifying everything. And then also you got Terrence Crawford. He's already undisputed. You know, None of those guys that I mentioned, have been able. They haven't accomplished any of that. Mike Tyson. Don't get me wrong. I've talked about it before. For the legend that Mike Tyson is, I mean, he never when he fought the champions, that were forces to be reckoned with, he lost. And I'm not trying to make this about bashing Mike Tyson, but it is what it is. So I feel like you gotta really understand. You can't just say, okay, yeah, well, Terrence Crawford, he's knocking this person out, he's knocking that person out. That's not what you base everything on. Every fight is different. And then on top of that, we're not even looking. Listen, we're not even looking at the physical. Earl Spence is 5'10", Okay, they say 5'9.5", but really, man, Errol Spence is 5'10", man. Okay, Errol Spence is 5'10". Uh, Crawford Crawford is 5'8". Okay, and he don't even. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell, man. But yeah, they got him listed at 5'8". So he he advantage on in that regards. And then this is another thing too. I love how they come out and they hate on these guys that are daring to be great, like a Devin Haney. Okay, they'll say, okay, well, he's boring, or this guy is not exciting, or this guy is one dimensional, and all this other stuff or whatever. But these guys are the guys that are winning. These guys are the guys that are making history, or and in Earl's case, on the verge of making history. These guys are the ones that are cleaning they sides of the street up. These guys are willing to just go ahead and fight. But these are the guys that y'all are hating on. And it kind of sounds familiar. They used to do the same thing to Mayweather, who I already talked about. When I used to go to the fights and I used to watch, we have like a fight party or something like that. 9 times out of 10, people would show up for Mayweather to lose. They weren't showing up for him to win. They were showing up for him to lose. And then you could hear people getting mad. Look, you can't win. You can't please anybody. They did it with Mike Tyson. They said that Mike Tyson. Oh man, I'm tired of the fight being only 5 seconds and all this other stuff, laying people out within a minute and all this other stuff. I don't even have a chance to finish my food. Then they'll talk about, oh yeah, well, a guy like Lennox Lewis. Well, Lennox Lewis, uh, he's boring and all this other stuff. All he does is jab. Or then they'll talk about Holyfield. They'll be like, oh yeah, he's winning, but he's on steroids and all this other stuff. You never gonna win with Mayweather. They say, oh well, he's boring. He don't throw. He don't let his hands go and all this other bullshit. Or he picks his own fights, or picks his own opponents and stuff like that. You can't win with anything. And in this case right here, they're saying everything. More of the criticism is going on Errol Spence, I noticed, than it is with Buzz. But fight, this fight, man, if you think that this fight is gonna like end in like 6 rounds and all this other stuff, man, you are sadly mistaken. Now, if I'm wrong, hey, look, I will come on here and tell everybody that I was wrong. I hold my nuts. Man, look, look here. I will let everybody know that I was wrong. I have no problem doing that. It's just like with Terrence Crawford when he beat Sean Porter. I came on here and I said I gave Terrence Crawford his props. I was I was wrong about it because I picked Sean Porter to beat Terrence Crawford, but it didn't happen. Just like with Canelo, when he fought Bivol, I was wrong about that. There's some predictions that hey, that Polo gets wrong. Yeah, true. Look, everybody like every dog got his day, and you could catch somebody slipping on a bad night. It's just like tonight, with the basketball game. Okay, and I'm not gonna stay on it too much because I'm gonna talk about basketball in just a minute. Um, because the game is gonna be starting in a little bit. I could be wrong about the whole thing. Boston could go home tonight. Boston, Boston could be finished tonight. But I chose Boston to win this game, and I still maintaining my pick that Boston will win the whole entire thing. And the reason why is because I feel that Golden State got more pressure on them. But I'm not going to talk about that too much right now. I've been here talking about boxing right now at this point in time. But people got to understand. Look, all these boxers they work hard. Terrence Crawford he stays in the gym. I'm not going to sit up here and say that Errol Spence's work ethic is way higher than Terrence Crawford because that right there I would be on here capping. That's not the truth. Terrence Crawford is a workaholic. He stays in the gym. That's actually one of the things that I respect about Terrence Crawford. Only thing I didn't really respect about him was his resume, and I'm not even gonna say didn't respect. It's just I didn't really take his resume into account in terms of lining it up with Earl Spence, even though they fought some of the same people. But like I said, man, Roy Jones, he's been very disrespectful. James Tony being very disrespectful, man. You know, just like just like Jeff Mayweather was disrespectful to Devin Haney. But I really believe that Devin Haney, that with that Jeff Mayweather situation and the Devin Haney situation, I really feel that Jeff Mayweather was doing that to motivate Devin Haney. I really feel like that from the shoot deep down because you got to understand that Devin Haney he started off training under them. So that's what I truly felt. I don't felt like I didn't feel like it was any true animosity or no shit like that. I really felt like Jeff Mayweather was trying to just spark him, to amplify him to go to Australia and beat uh Cambozo the clown's ass. But see, you sadly mistaken if you think that Earl Spence is just gonna go in there, he's gonna lay down. He's not because his trainer, Derek James, man, he said, look, it's time to get back to work immediately, right after the fight. That it's time to get back to work, and that's what he did. Shortly after the Udonis Ugas fight. That's what that's what they do. I'm glad. And look, you're gonna see a an epic fight. This fight right here is gonna be epic, man. This is gonna be just the whole build up and the hype, by it, man. You can already tell that people are anticipating this. I haven't been really this excited about a fight uh, in a in a long time, man. I'm trying to go back and think what fight I might have been anticipating. I have to go back and go look at some fights that I was anticipating, you know, happening, and then when it finally happened, what I'm saying, I was just like really excited, man. But I can't think of any right off the top of my head right now. I think one fight that I was like, these guys, they finna go at it, was the hold on one second, y'all. Hold on one second, y'all. All right, the last fight I was kind of anticipating was it was two of them. It was it was Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder fight, and then of course Canelo and the it was Canelo and Caleb Plant. I think those were the fights that I was more amped about. Other than that, this right here, and there's probably a couple of others, but I can't. I would have to go back and go look at them. I remember, okay, like Roy Jones and Tarver. You know what I'm saying? Or yeah, Roy Jones and Hopkins. You were kind of anticipating that. Uh, I think of who else. I can't remember which Holyfield fight. I think Tyson and Holyfield was one too. But that clearly, man, it just like, man, this is damn, man. You were kind of saddened by that. Cause I ain't gonna lie, I wanted Tyson to win, but he lost. But this fight is heavily heavily anticipated, man. But on that note, uh, yeah, I want to thank y'all for pulling up. Everybody that's up in here, True Viking, Dion Reed, Omaha, Matt Moses. Make sure y'all like the video, share it, subscribe, hit the notifications. Polo Sports Talking Entertainment. I get at you later.